name is Julie Rumsey, and I'm running for the courts industry chair. And I'm running because I feel like the courts need to be represented fairly. Not that we haven't been so in the past, but just so we can have a fresh outlook and get all of our views and points across and make sure that we're represented fairly all the way from the top of the state to the bottom of the state. Our requests and our voices are being heard, and that what we're requesting be addressed without being edited for purposes other than what we expect them to be. Our union is supposed to be member driven, and so we want to represent every member, not just a select group or a select few. We will allow the voices of everyone to be heard. We will allow the opinions and the needs and the desires of everyone to be known, and then we'll try to address them as they come about. We won't just select a few that we feel will be a headline grabbing. We will address everything.
So
we feel unappreciated because we feel like we work hard. We work hard for the community. We work hard for our judges. We work hard for the administration of the courts. We feel like as a team that we should be in this together to better our communities, to better the environment for everyone. And when we are put down because we want a better working environment for ourselves, we feel that's unfair. So, we are here for everyone, not just for ourselves. We are the community as well.
And how long have you been a member of SEIU 1021?
I've been a member of SEIU 1021 for 12 years now. 12 years. I'm a proud member. Lack of representation is so unfair, especially when you have a group of people that pay a certain amount of dues out of their weekly payroll that could go towards their family. And when they're not being represented like everyone else, it makes the others that are being represented seem like the golden children, and that's not the case. My goal is to make sure that we're all fairly represented, that everyone has a voice and that no one is left out. And for a group of or a sector of people, of our members, that brothers and sisters, because we say we're brothers and sisters, we should all be fairly represented. We should all be able to know that we can depend on one another. And when we have a group that's hurting and no one is out there representing them, I take that to
My name is John Wadsworth. I'm running for San Francisco area rep. I've been an employee of the County of San Francisco, City and County of San Francisco for 10 years. I work at the hospital and take a lot of pride in helping provide good health care to our patients. Also an SEIU 1021 member. I think that change is coming, and I'm proud to be part of that change. I see a lot of good people that have new visions for SEIU, the REIT slate, and I'm hopeful that I'll have the opportunity to be part of that change, make things better for the members, and give them some representation that they may need. Bullying is a big issue. With the restructure that's taking place in the hospital, it's been an opportunity for the city to try and outsource a lot of jobs. They've really downgraded a lot of the services and use those as avenues to outsource, and to blame on the city and county workers for services that should be managed properly, by the managers, and we need to keep these county jobs, these city jobs, with the within the city with union members. I think that there's just been an attack on the city workers and SEIU members. They've been just a barrage of attacks on the jobs. I think it's been difficult for SEIU to really keep a hold on it and communicate the way they should. That's one of the reasons why the REIT slate needs to be brought in. I think it's time to bring in a different vision for the union and bring in persons that that really want to make things better for the member. You know, that really needs to happen.
Brenda Barrows. I'm running for politics for SEIU 1021. I think what I'd like to see is more participation by the members. And by that I mean, like, right now it seems like a lot of the decisions are made top down. The members aren't asked what they feel about even something as important as a presidential election, right? To me, the way I function, I'd want to find out where the membership was before I came to a conclusion about who I was going to support or who I wasn't going to support or something like that. There's too many things that, decisions that get made in isolation from the membership that they don't even know about. Yeah. Unless they happen to talk to somebody like me who can tell them what's going on. Prop C is a pension measure that was put on the ballot by what's called the Public Employees Union of San Francisco, which is made up of unions that are in the Labor Council. But the main thing that got me upset was that our union did all this negotiation. Nobody knew anything about it. Showed up at a bargaining table with it, expected us to go for it. We said no. And then they got together with this employees committee, worked with the mayor's office, who is, you know, that's our employer, that's our boss, to put it on the ballot. And, you know, I cannot forgive that. To this day, right now, I'm paying 13%. People are paying a lot of money. I know people that lost their homes when that happened. That was a bad decision they made.
And how could SEIU 1021 stop it?
I think we just have to be about the members, right? We can't be about the outside groups as much as we are the members. No matter how much community stuff we do, no matter how much political stuff we do, what candidates we support, it always should be about the members first.
And the issue of bullying of employees, public employees, what have you done and what do you think the union should be doing about that?
Well, you know, I've been like on a 3-year campaign in my workplace. So we've had rallies, we've had press conferences. I've brought it to our union over and over and over again. I've had conferences where we invited people from other bullying groups to talk to people. But it doesn't seem to be getting any traction in our union, and I don't understand why not. Even at our last convention, I said, well, they have the workplace bullying bill. Some people say that some staff have said that they feel like they have been bullied. And, you know, we have to be the change we want to see. If we're going to tell employers that this can't go on in the workplace, it certainly shouldn't be going on within unions.
So you shouldn't have a double standard?
We should not have a double standard. We should treat people fairly, right? We want competent people, true enough. We should not tolerate incompetent reps because that impacts our members. But to just, you know, harass people who are skilled with experience, I don't understand it. It's a part of that same thing about age discrimination where you try to push all the old people out. And I see that happening. I think it's a serious problem all over. Because a lot of the people that are being bullied, a lot of people that are feeling pushed out, a lot of people that are feeling harassed are long-term employees.
And what has the union done about it presently?
From what I can see on that particular subject, not a whole lot. I mean, some of the bullying stuff that we've pushed and language we've gotten in our contract does help a little bit. At least people have something they can do. But it's still not good enough. It's not good enough. This should be a priority for the union, and it's not. And I don't understand why it's not, because you fight for 15 for people to get paid $15 an hour, which is very important, and I totally agree with it. But I don't know if that should be a priority for our union right now when we have all our memberships that have all these other issues that are not being addressed.
So they're not defending the core? If you can't defend the core,
if you can't defend the core, how are you going to defend everybody else? I understand that we have to do community stuff. I espouse that we need to be out in the community. We need to become part of the community. But that doesn't mean that you forget about the membership and don't service them properly, and that community stuff becomes more important than the stuff for the actual members who are in their workplaces every day, working hard, trying to have a decent living, and work in a bully-free, harassment-free environment.
And you've been involved in Ferguson and San Francisco. What is the connection between what's happening with these murders and repression in the black community and the Latino community?
Well, I think that one of the problems is that the culture within police needs to be changed, and they are very powerful caucus, right? They control a lot of people, just like the gun lobby, and it's not going to be easy. But it's going to take a consistent, strong, relentless effort to get them to change at all. They sent a letter to us because we started talking about it, right? So we had two different groups. We had Wealth and Disparities, and we had Lessons from Ferguson. And both groups were out there talking about it. We had conferences about it, about police brutality and how it impacts people, and how our youth are dying on the street, right? So you have our youth dying on the streets, with killing each other because of the circumstances they're in and because they feel so hopeless and life doesn't mean anything. You're not doing much to help those kids. There are people like Sean Richards that's out there working, Jack Bryson, who's a part of our union, he's our AFRAM chair. He's out there working on things like that. But people don't seem to care about that. What usually happens is somebody will get killed, like Mario Woods. All the attention will go to that one particular issue, and then 6 months from now, we're back at the same thing, and that's because the systems have not been changed. It's a give and take, right? Some African-American youths are getting into college, getting good jobs, but then there are other African-American youths, once those police get a hold of them and get them in the system to where they get these records, and they just can't get free of it. Even if they wanted to get a job, a lot of them couldn't get a job because a lot of employers won't hire them.
Now, you were just interviewed today about the money that's going to the 49ers Super Bowl or the Super Bowl, and the city is going to give $4 million. Mayor Edley, what do you think about money?
I think it's outrageous at the same time when they're asking, public health, where I work, to cut back 3%, every department in the city, that you're just going to waste money like that.
And that
that's the same story they said before. The pensions are not the problem. I mean, the pensions are not the problem at all. It's not the employees that are the problem. The problem is the priorities and the spending, right? If they take away some of these tax breaks they're giving these corporations who say, oh, well, I'll leave San Francisco, they ain't leaving San Francisco. They're not going anywhere because they're making too much money here. So, they just get intimidated into that, and then they let them get a free ride.
So you're
right?
You're going to stop that?
Well, yeah. Well, if I get in as political chair of my union, SEIU 1021, I'm going to do everything I can to try to stop it. Because, I think that many times we give even politicians passes that we shouldn't give them.
Hi, my name is Raina Johnson. I am running for San Francisco Area County Rep. I work at the Fine Arts Museums in San Francisco, and I'm a shop steward. One of the big issues we're dealing with right now is a two-tier system. The majority of us are part-time workers, and the full-time workers that are retiring, they're getting replaced by part-time workers. Even though we're still doing basically full-time work, we're just not being compensated for our efforts. Most of our members are commuting, and it's still even difficult to commute sometimes, to be able to afford to commute back and forth.
And what do you think the union should be doing to change the situation at the museums and other places?
I think the union should be putting a lot more effort into representation, as far as making sure the members are better trained as far as stewardship, and also more support for our field reps that are helping us with our different issues. Also, the union.
That's okay. Put you in your button.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Also, I think that there should be enormously better communication. There's the Fredericks case that's, the decision will be happening in June, and there hasn't really been a lot of talk or communication about that to the members.
Have there been any rallies by the union against that?
No rallies. There's been this push for, the member conversion, but there's no talk of it. There's no, this is what's happening, this is what's coming down the pipeline. We have to get ready for this. There's just this big push to get everybody signed up, and that's not
So in other words, we're going to continue to take your dues, but they're not changing the way they do business.
They're not changing the way they do business, and they're not communicating and letting everybody know that this is a really big potential threat to the organization that's supporting us.
So why wouldn't they try to educate people if this is going to threaten the existence of the union? I mean, it seems a little strange.
I hate to say it, but knowledge is power, and if you don't know everything that's going on, you can be taken advantage of. And I don't want to say that that's what the organization is doing, but if the members really saw that the union was doing something, if they saw that there was a lot more effort being put into representing them, and there was a more push into educating, and not just about your stewards' rights, but also the history. A lot of people don't know the history and how long this is fight's been going on, not just the city and not just state, all through history. And I think that's a big thing the members don't understand, this disconnect.
So there's no real labor education of working class history.
There's
the
none.
struggle of blacks, the struggle of Latinos, the real working class history of this country.
Absolutely, and that's a big thing. And
the union can do that too. Educate people about that history. Have
absolutely
workshops,
educate. I mean, it should be one of the main things as part of the orientation coming in. They haven't even really forced orientation. We've had to actually just bring it back and just take it upon ourselves. Say, hey, we're going to enforce the orientation, and it's going to be X, Y, Z. We have to make sure all these things are covered. It's funny some of the things that management does to the active shop stewards, from actually putting in writing that they're going to do some kind of discipline for us doing protected work. So
isn't that illegal?
Yeah, it's very illegal, and it's interesting that they would put it in writing. So
they're pretty arrogant.
Pretty arrogant. And honestly, I want to say that it seems like they've been used to getting away with so much for so long that they don't really take into account that we do have rights, labor rights. We have rights with the MOU. No, at this point, I don't feel they do. Not San Francisco's SEIU chapter at all, which is very unfortunate because there's so many of us, and most of the members feel the same way, that we should have more power and we should be able to push back on most of the stuff that they're coming up with. It shouldn't even be implemented.
You got a lot of members, 17,000 members here. You have tremendous power.
We have tremendous power. We just have to get everybody, educate everybody, and let them know that we have the power, they have the power.
And that's the change you want to make?
That's the change we have to make in order moving forward, because after the Fredericks thing, it's going to be a major. Can you stop him?
Okay, that's okay.
Let me think however we worded it. Okay.
There's going to be a major assault.
After the Fredericks decision, there's going to be a major issue or assault on the union, and we have to make sure that we're prepared and powered up as much as we could possibly be.
And what's your name again, and what are you running for?
Raina Johnson, and I'm running for San Francisco County Area Field Rep.
My name is Jack Bryson. I'm an SEIU member, 1021. I'm a member of Alameda Labor Delegate, Coke Delegate, and a member of SEJ. At first, I want to stay out of it. I'm an activist in the community, but then also, I see it lately, I see a lot of members at my job and other places when I try to talk about SEIU 1021 to our members, they have nothing but complaints, and they're not enthused about SEIU right now. I think a change in appreciation of a membership, knowing that you belong to a membership, that you're educated on the membership that you're a member of. It's like you're a member of a union, but a lot of our members don't even know that what a union is or how the union exists and what the union does for them. And they feel that they're giving up they're paying membership for what? They don't know no information. They don't know that there's an
AFRAM came out of SEIU And it was when the African Americans within SEIU felt like they weren't really being represented, so they fought at a convention, and then they got an AFRAM caucus. So that is the primary group of African American employees throughout all of SEIU 1021. And so their focus is on the issues that affect African Americans within the union and externally.
See, and I didn't even know that that existed in the union. I did not know there was a socio-economic justice. I did not know that there was a COPE committee. I didn't know there was an Alameda Labor Council. I didn't know that I could have a voice and exist in all these things. I didn't know, like, my two sons, they were with Oscar Grant the night he was murdered. And so while I was out there trying to organize, I met a young lady named Gladys Gray who introduced me to the union, and because I was a union member, and told me how much power I had being a union member. So what I started doing is connecting labor and unions to the community, because most of the young men and women who face police brutality, mass incarceration, violence in our from the system is from our communities. Like, solidarity means, like, if you put a fist together, it means you're supposed to be that tight, right? But right now, union members feel that, you know, they're not unionized, they're divided, you know, and I don't know, something has to change, you know, and it's crazy, you know, when you think about when I think about
The ILWU has more solidarity.
right, but I think about, I watched this documentary on the guy from the steel workers, Carnegie, what's his name?
Carnegie, yeah, Carnegie.
But how he weren't letting those workers unionize and was making them work 16-hour days, 10 every day. And then when one guy died on the job, and that was in the 1800s, and they said enough. So they unionized, and then they brought in the so-called, this is how the police was formed around unions, the Pinkerton police. And these young men and women still fought, and some of them died, but they got their way, and they became a solid union. You see, but if you look at it back in those days, to this day, the J.P. Morgans, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, all of them still run this country. And they still want to break up the unions. If they break up the unions are the last class to the middle class. And that's what they want to do. And so what you're telling our members, if you're not going to fight for us, then you're not fighting for our class. So if you're fighting for $15 an hour, we might not be unionized no more. We might be fighting for those jobs for $15 an hour, you know? So it's important, you know? And I think, like, our generation knows the importance of having unions, you know? So it has to be a new strength.